first driver out in qualifying. Let's remember back to Friday, to the final race on Friday, that final qualifying session on Friday, and remember the absolutely insane lap he did to grab pole position at the Nürburgring. He needs to do it now.
He certainly does. Needs a low 2:14 is where we're looking at, and we're going to get a great view of Joshua Rogers the way around. There's Jorn Jens watching on from the stand, well, not the stands, from behind the computer, up just above the Australian, watching over his star driver as they look to win $250,000 for Porsche Commander Esports through La Source for the first time. It's a late apex for a good run down the hill and up through Eau Rouge. Then we'll get our first sector time of the 3.
Here he is then into Eau Rouge. Radion uses a lot of curb on the left-hand side, up and over the top of the crest, not abusing too much. Facial expression is fairly neutral, heading through the Kemmel curve, aiming for something around the 38.8 mark. 38.7's pretty damn good though. We'll have to wait and see what he'll do. He'll come across the first sector split. It's just a single corner and a big long straight. It is a 38.7 and it's a low one as well. We know the Porsche's decent in the first sector though. He's got to tick off the second one in under a minute.
He certainly does, and that's the absolute key. Closer towards the mids 59s will be ideal. 59.6
surely.
Yeah, but let's see if he can deliver. We've seen him deliver, as he said, on Friday. What a lap time it was. He's just clipped that curve on the way towards No Name.
Perfect.
Gets a little bit wide, but looks all right for the moment. Difficult to know how to drive these cars on Red Sport, to be honest, because they're still so new. Rogers really wrestling with that as he goes through Pouhon as well. Battling down the hill towards Pip-Pap as well. We're not far away from finding that second sector time.
This is decent. This is looking very decent from Joshua Rogers. Nice and tidy, using every single little bit of the circuit, not using any of the curbs as they go through the Fania. Out wide though on the exit. That could have cost him a little bit, bogging down on the curb. He comes through Campus, out a little bit wide though as he comes up towards the second sector split.
Just a bit wide from Joshua Rogers, 59.8. That is not ideal from Joshua Rogers. He's lost a couple of attempts there. It could still be good enough for the first 2 rows and the first half maybe. But at the moment, Joshua Rogers is going to be challenged in this qualifying session.
Well, he's only got 1 or 2 more corners left to go. He heads through Blanchimont that's completely flat out, down towards the bus stop. Like I say, I mean, I agree with you. I think this is aiming for a 14.3, 14.4 maybe.
It wouldn't be ideal at all if it's a 2.14.4. Joshua Rogers is going to have some work to do and have to rely on Mac Packham out of the final corner for Josh Rogers. It's a 14.3. He's made up some time at least in the final sector. His first and last were pretty good. Just in the middle he lost a 10th or 2.
Well, here comes Freddie Rasmussen, down a 10th and a half on what we saw from Joshua Rogers in the first sector, but gaining about half a 10th in the second. This is aiming for a 14.4, but it'll be on the higher side, so I think he's not going to be able to beat Joshua Rogers. But for G2 Esports, they're not one of the teams in finalist mode. They're one of the teams battling to get into it. It was fantastic racing from him in the previous one. The Dane will come up towards the line, going behind Joshua Rogers with a 14.423.
A podium, by the way, for G2 Esports would all but guarantee their place in finalist mode. Same for Maus as well, who would need roughly the same. Erhan Yuyovsky needs to prevent those guys from winning at the moment. He's around the same point as Joshua Rogers is at the moment, so this is going to be another time within a 10th, I would imagine, of Rogers. Which side that is, I'm not entirely sure. He makes his way towards the line right now. It's a 14.4 from him. He is 71 thousandths away.
Yeah, not great through that middle sector for an Audi R8, so unfortunately just second position for Erhan Yuyovsky. Mac Packham, though, tracking a little slower than Josh Rogers at the moment. Again, in that kind of zone where we're seeing Erhan Yuyovsky, but we're not done because there's still 2 team redline drivers as well to come. When it comes to the finalist mode drivers, obviously Mac Packham, he needs to be near Josh Rogers. Ideally, he needs to be ahead of the Macedonian, who's currently running in second. Out through the final corner, I don't think Mac Packham's impressed with it at all. He'll cross the line, he'll cut the beam, nearly 2 tenths down. He's not going to be able to assist his teammate. Rogers has to do it himself.
And that has been the story of the season for Porsche Commander Esports, unfortunately. Tame Warren has provided a bit of assistance for him here in Riyadh, but they're not driving together over the course of race 7 and 8, which is not ideal at all. Now Enzo Benito, 14 red line, needs to get up there near Josh Rogers. Certainly one of them needs to, and at the moment it's going to be very, very close. Enzo Benito over the line. It's third place at the moment. He's also within the 10th of a second.
Yeah, but crucially he is behind Joshua Rogers. Patrick Holzman, Maus, obviously one of those teams along with G2 Esports who are looking to book their place in into finalist mode in this race. We've heard from Max Benneker. He thinks if they can get through this race, if they can get into finalist mode, if the competition is still live, Max Benneker is confident that he can bring this home for the team, as he did with the Drivers' Championship on Friday night. Patrick Holzman will come up towards the line. He'll cut the beam, and he will be slowest of the 6 drivers thus far, head basically in hands.
And Yuri Kazdorp has been given the mountain to climb without a rope here, I'm afraid. He's going to have to do it on his own on this lap, and he hasn't even started just yet, or will just be about to further down the order. Bono House here still has a lot of work to do for Mercedes, as does Graham Carroll. They're looking to at least hold off or catch up to RHG Esports for 5th place in the standings, but at the moment Mercedes are struggling. It's a 14-6 from Bono House.
Next driver through will be Joni Tormela. Okay, first sector, decent in the second. Now, this is a driver who put on some incredible moves. We've seen it before from him, where he's picked up 4 places in one corner. We obviously saw this back in Munich as well. He's put on a show in the previous race. He's trying to put on another one. He's trying to gift G2 Esports finalist mode, but at the moment, things aren't looking good. He's got 2 of the main rivals in Porsche Coanda and Redline comfortably ahead. What can Tormela do when he crosses the line? He goes in just behind Freddie Rasmussen in 5th.
Just over 1/10 away there, 5th place, as Kevin Siggy makes his way towards the line right now as well. He's losing a 10th here or there, but it's going pretty close to Rogers at the moment. I think Benito and Siggy are going to be quite close to each other here, behind Rogers though, and that's going to set up the classic battle between these 2 titans of the sim racing world. Coanda versus Redline again. Kevin Siggy not happy. He makes his way over the line. It's a 14-4. He thinks he could have done better, but it's 5th place for now.
And it is advantage Coanda. At the moment, though, if you look at it, 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, these are the drivers, these are the teams in finalist mode. They will be on the same side of the grid unless anyone else does anything about it. 3 drivers left to go. Thibaut Casabon, Graham Carroll, and Yuri Kazdorp. At the moment, Casabon comes down to the final sector, and he will not be challenging any of those top 5 positions. They're only separated by less than a 10th of a second, only just over it back to Joni Tormela in 6th position. Thibaut Casabon will cut the beam, and it'll be ahead of House maybe. Not even that, just 10th position for RHG.
Thibaut Casabon with a bit of a disaster there, I'm afraid, and so is Graham Carroll. 1:07 is not where you need to be, I'm afraid, here. So he'll be 11th and probably last by the time that Yuri Kazdorp comes over the line. Important for Kazdorp though, because Holzman at the moment only 8th place. That's only 4 points. So Kazdorp really needs a top 5 with this qualifying lap at the moment. There's Graham Carroll, 16-4 from him. He knows that that is a bit of a disappointment. Kazdorp's still a 1:0 though as well.
Yeah, I mean, you were very confident in Kazdorp's middle like lap there when you were looking at Carroll. You're like, yeah, no, Carroll's definitely going to be in last position. And so I was like, well, you know, Kazdorp could have exceeded.
2 seconds.
At the moment, though, Kazdorp coming down into the final sector. Not looking ideal, not looking great, looking like it's going to be 11th position and the final row of the grid in what could be the final race here in ESL R1, sponsored by Aramco here at Gamers8 in Riyadh. Yuri Kazdorp cuts the beam, and it's just 11th. Shakes of the head from not only Yuri Kazdorp, but Ewan O'Leary as well.
Well, yeah, Miles are just not having a good time in things over the last few races, and they're leaving it up to the others. Erhan Yovsky second, but it's Josh Rogers who takes the AOJ fastest qualifying lap here for race 8 at Spa. The team's championship on the line. Josh Rogers in the best possible place. Normally gives a bit of a look and a wave to the camera. Absolutely none of that this time. He means business. Graham Carroll and Yuri Kazdorp will bring up the rear of this grid though, with Thibaut Casabon and Bono House just making it into the top 10. Patrick Holtzman will be alongside Mac Backham, the last of the finalist mode drivers. Joni Tormela will be 6th ahead, just behind of Kevin Siggy in 5th. Then it's Freddie Rasmussen with Enzo Benito on row 2, with Erhan Yoski and Joshua Rogers, who takes another pole position here for race 8 at Spa. What a week he's had. How many LAN events does he do this at? He just wins again and again and again. And he has the chance to do it one more time, this time for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, and you got to remember, of course, he was so close to winning the Drivers' Championship on Friday night. He was only denied courtesy of an instant between himself and Jeffrey Rietveld. Of course, Porsche Coanda versus Team Redline, building up to quite the crescendo. One thing to remind you, though, if you are a Team Redline fan, there is one bit of bad news for you. Team Redline have not won a race today. Why can they do it now? How can they change it now? What do they have to do to take one over Porsche Coanda in what could be the last race?
And when was the last time there was a day in ESL R1 where Redline didn't win a race?
Yeah.
That's probably quite a long time ago at this point. Well, I'd say that maybe it was the last day of the Munich Major. Probably.
Probably.
That was only a few days ago in terms of actual racing. So yeah, maybe not actually that long ago. But it's very crucial. And to be fair, it reflects well on them the fact that they've got so many points without winning.
So much consistency. They came into this. We weren't expecting too much from Redline. We weren't really sure what to expect rather from Team Redline until we saw practice on Wednesday. And on the servers they were on, first, second, third, fourth, and they were all separated by a tenth of a second. Redline have come into this prepared, experienced, and ready to win. The only issue for them is Porsche Coanda and potentially even G2 and Mouse as well. This is going to be a tough fight. It's a tall order at any time, but it's the battle for $250,000. It's the battle for $250,000. It is the battle for your fair share of £600,000, over $1 million given away when you include the extra bonus prizes as well over the entire weekend. Incredible.
Yeah, the joint biggest prize fund ever delivered in sim racing, and the biggest for well over half a decade by now. It's a huge moment for Joshua Rogers, and he knows it. Mitchell de Jong is choosing not to watch for the moment, messaging whatever, doing whatever it is on his phone, and Dame Warren can barely watch as well by the looks of it. Enzo Benito still has the capacity to smile at this stage.
I'm shaking.
I wouldn't be smiling like Enzo Benito is, I'll tell you that for free. Lights come on then. Race 8 here at Spa. Could this be the race that crowns a champion? Let's find out with the lights on. Here in Belgium, we're underway, and Josh Rogers is off to a very good start. Erhaniowski tucks in. He'll look to the inside, but be forced to go on the outside. He'll go all the way around as Enzo Benito just sneaks up the inside. There's single file on the way out. Kevin Siggy is side by side with Yoni Tomala at the moment, further back, but Josh Rogers has got off to a good start.
Advantage Porsche Coanda, but will that last to the end of the Kemmel Straight? They rise up the hill, they go through Blanchimont, go through Radion rather, as they come up towards the Kemmel curve, the number 92 at the front of the field, but it could be all change here. Haniowski closing in on the scene, Enzo Benito also in tow. Who's going to come through all out on top of this? Joshua Rogers takes the defensive line.
It's outside line for Yuyovski. He's not very far alongside, but he's made it round. Side by side, they go through the chicane, and Rogers is squeezed to the inside. He's got to be very careful up there. There's more contact. And outside for Benito. It's side by side once again.
Whoa!
And Yuyovski makes his way through. Great overtake.
Unbelievable covering there from Erhaniowski. He could be the one to deny this victory for Porsche Coanda, for Team Redline as well. Freddie Rasmussen in the mix as he sits behind Enzo Benito, but ahead of Kevin Siggy, coming down to the absolute wire as it did a few months ago in, of course, when we did the Rennsport Summit in Munich. It was absolutely incredible then. It was a brutal fight when it came to that 5th race, and it looks like it's going to be a brutal fight here in the 8th.
This is going to be fantastic. Erhaniowski leads the way ahead of Josh Rogers. Enzo Benito's right there. Freddie Rasmussen in 4th place. Yuyovski forced to even defend it towards Stavolo maybe. Not quite. Rogers up the curve, he needs the exit, he's not quite got it. What about the run in towards the bus stop chicane? I'm not sure he's quite got a great one there. He'll wait for the next lap, surely.
Enzo Benito's got to risk everything here as well. There is nothing between this grouping. It is absolutely incredible. Here we go up towards Blanchimont. It is RHG at the front. It is Joshua Rogers in tow. Enzo Benito as well. Who is going to be brave? Who is going to be bold? Who is going to commit? Of course it's Joshua Rogers. He's sending it in on Erhaniowski, who manages to come across the nose of the Porsche Coanda esports driver. It is RHG to lead the first lap here at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps.
It's an uncharacteristic half-hearted lunge from Josh Rogers there, which may have compromised him. Enzo Benito looked up the inside and towards turn 1. Didn't decide to go for it there. He wants the run instead. He's not got it. Josh Rogers has. Erhaniowski's going to be in trouble here, and Enzo Benito knows it. He's already got a bit of resignation on his face at the moment. They'll run up the hill. Rogers very close in behind. Surely they'll be side by side on the one towards Lecombe.
If this ends as it is, of course G2 Esports will join them in finalist mode, but right now things are about to change as we go onto the Kemmel Straight once again. Joshua Rogers is alongside Erhaniowski with the inside line as they head up towards Lecombe. com, and this could be big. Joshua Rogers is going to send it in. They head their way into late com. It's Rogers around the outside. There's contact between the two, and the Macedonian keeps it on the road. Rogers hits the front, and this could be it. This could be curtains.
And Enzo Benito has got to place full trust in somebody else's team. It's Erhan Yayoski on another team who he may not have full confidence in, because he knows that if he fights with Yayoski, then Rogers is definitely going to get away. At the moment, the Porsche Coanda driver may get away anyway.
Yeah, going through Rivage, going through curve, the no-name corner, of course, Jackie X curve. It is growing. It is 0.4 of a second. They head through Puon. It is half a second. We're approaching the area, going up to about 0.511 of a second as they head down towards Fania. It is Rogers at the front, Yovsky behind, Enzo Benito in tow. Finalist mode between Porsche Coanda and Team Redline. And it is R8G that could be the difference maker right now.
Erhan Yayoski has to overtake Josh Rogers here to keep R8G's chances alive and to keep everyone else's chances alive. Porsche Coanda Esports are in the money position at the moment. They are in the place to win this title. $250,000 at the moment is going their way, but there are still 11 drivers behind him looking to deny him all of those gaps less than a second.
I mean, I've got to say right now, for Porsche Coanda, Joshua Rogers needs to set the best lap we have ever seen around the circuit of Spa-Francorchamps right now. Not in qualifying, right now. This is where the points are paid out. This is where the money is paid out. Joshua Rogers needs to deliver now. If he doesn't, he is going to be attacked. He is going to be hounded. He is going to be harassed by Erhan Yayoski through the middle sector.
And Enzo Benito is very close to Erhan Yayoski now, who maybe knows that this is an impossible task. It's an uphill struggle, and they'll go uphill through Eau Rouge and Radion right now, with Josh Rogers more than half a second in the lead of this race. He'll be in the slipstream, will Erhan, but he won't gain nearly enough to get anywhere near the Australian, who's starting to weave around. He's starting to just take away that slipstream from the Macedonian behind. And at the moment, Josh Rogers is in the place to win this. Yayoski goes wide.
That's a mistake there from the Macedonian. It's going to be big here for Rogers. If he's pulling away, it's 0.75 of a second, and it is growing and growing and growing. This is building up to quite the crescendo, but we've seen this before in finalist mode. The winner in every time we've done finalist mode has been the breakaway winner. They've been able to pull away. We said this before. Rogers does not have the assistance of Mac Backham. He's having to do this all by himself. And we've had questions as to Josh Rogers' capability when it comes to his kind of racing prowess. We knew a few years ago he was absolutely the #1 driver in sim racing. We weren't sure in the recent past. Well, he's proving it now with moves like this.
What an overtake it was. It was straight line speed from the Porsche that really got in there late on the brakes from Erhan Yayoski, who went straight into the side of the Australian. But the speed of the Porsche was just too much.
It's the second time, by the way, that Erhan Yayoski might be the difference maker in all of this. Obviously, it was assisting his teammates when he went racing back in Munich. This time, though, it's assisting, not intentionally, but it could be assisting Porsche Coanda. It is Erhan Yayoski, the one crowning champions here at LAN.
He loves getting involved in things that aren't his business, doesn't he? Sorry,
love Erhan Yayoski. He is such a character. He's putting on quite the show. He's trying his absolute hardest. I've got to say, Redline will not be particularly pleased, but he's battled with Redline time and time again when it comes to his racing history in sim racing. You've got to remember, R8G means Roman Grosjean. Well, who's behind Team Redline? Of course, it's Max Verstappen. We've got a lot of racing heritage here, battling for second. Unfortunately, one of those crowns in heritage of motorsport is Porsche, and they are pulling away. The crown looks to be heading to them.
Well, Enzo Benito's got a bit of a catch-22 at the moment, because if he passes Erhan Yayoski, then he'll lose even more time to Rogers, but if he doesn't pass Erhan Yayoski, he'll also lose even more time to Joshua Rogers. I think Benito's probably quicker than Yayoski at this stage, who really qualified very well, but hasn't raced so well so far in terms of race pace. Enzo Benito in the slipstream. Will he look for the move right now?
He's got to.
He's not even going to be given it. Yayoski's going to defend as well, and this is surely signing and sealing, delivering Josh Rogers to the title with Porsche Coanda Esports. It's side by side. He's going to gain so much from this. They're still door-to-door on the way through Malmedy, and now this is writing the cheque for Porsche Coanda Esports.
Yeah, they've gone. Porsche have this. Joshua Rogers is not the driver to make a mistake. Erhan Yayoski, though, he's thinking about his own points. There's contact, though, and Enzo Benito almost under attack from one of the F1 Esports superstars. It's Freddie Rasmussen, who is coming of age basically in this championship. He's only been in it for 4 days. He started out struggling, he is building, and Freddie Rasmussen, I hope we see him more in ESL R1 because he is an unbelievable talent and he's showing himself now.
He certainly is, and he's getting better as time goes on as well. Let's not forget he wasn't a full season entry for them, and it's been getting on very well in the recent past. So Freddie Rasmussen certainly has a lot more to give in ESL R1, there's no doubt about that. But who's got what left to give in this race? Enzo Benito needs to get through on Erhan Yovski, who is probably going to have some red line guys chatting to him after this one. I mean, he's totally within his rights to defend, of course. He's not involved in the fight, but Enzo Benito won't be pleased.
Wow, I mean, this is just honestly breathtaking stuff once again. ESL R1 continuing to deliver entertainment, exciting, thrilling action every single time we go racing. Kevin Siggy obviously not being able to assist his teammate. He's actually gone backwards and now might drop back behind Mac Backham. But at the moment, his teammate Enzo Benito might need the help. He's sandwiched between Erhan Yovski and Freddie Rasmussen. No switches between the two. If Enzo Benito has any hopes of winning this, he needs to clear Yovski now and somehow put together 3 of the very best laps we have ever seen in the world of sim racing.
It would have to be the biggest turnaround we've ever seen from Enzo Benito here if he were to take this one up the hill. He'll run again. Erhan Yovski will no doubt defend, but it's nothing but a trivial exercise now. Almost no positions can change. The only battle now in the championship standings is between Mouse and G2 Esports, and right now Freddie Rasmussen and Joni Tomola are taking that one. Enzo Benito will now try and go through, and this is an overtake for show more than anything. It's late on the brakes from the Italian. He's up to 2nd place, but what does it matter at this stage? 1.9 seconds very nearly, and it will have to be 2.5 of the greatest laps of his life.
I mean, we're coming through this middle sector. This is where the Porsche tended to struggle a little bit. We saw that a little bit in qualifying. The BMW tends to use a little bit more of its tyres, and I don't think he's going to be able to close that one down. Let's take a look at replay. So this is Erhan Yovski, inside line, defensive line, trying to fend off Enzo Benito. We're on board with Freddie Rasmussen coming through the middle of this, and it's just so close. Watch this coming through Malmedy.
Completely together, quite literally, on the way out of Malmedy. And great defending once again into Bruxelles from Erhan Yovski. Just dives it deep into the turn and holds on to that place, much like the way he took the position from Josh Rogers at the start of that race. That was a great pass in towards Bruxelles as well, but unfortunately that Audi just doesn't look to quite have the race pace that it needs with those around them.
Yeah, I mean, the Audi's actually been fine throughout the week. Of course, it did win in the Drivers' Championship here at the ESL R1, sponsored by Aramco. That was on Friday night. The car's not gone under BOP or anything like that. It's the exact same car that it was on Friday. But the thing is RH just haven't made the most of it. Mouse are nearly in finalist mode, and they've made countless mistakes themselves.
And it didn't exactly... well, Beneka didn't win at Spa, did he? He won at Nürburgring, I suppose, but even so, yeah, it's been an all right week for Audi. It's been all right for BMW as well.
I'll destroy your point, sorry.
But yeah, BMW unfortunately are going to walk away with nothing. It looks like Porsche are going to walk away with the $250,000 for the team's championship. Now the nerves must be unbelievable. Josh Rogers has been in these kind of situations before. He's won iRacing World Championships. He's won Le Mans Virtual in the 24-hour as well. He's won the Supercars E-Series. He's won in almost every category of car you can think of. He's won in GT3s. This won't be any different of a prospect for him. And but it won't be getting this feeling, won't be getting any older to him, will it? It's a quite remarkable place he is in at the moment, with this battle happening behind. Erhan Yovski's on the outside line again, and he's making his way through again. It's a great battle for 2nd place, but it means almost absolutely nothing.
Yeah, even Enzo Benito knows that this is done. The ship has sailed, unless Joshua Rogers has the most unlucky turn of form. This is Enzo Benito and Team Redline finishing in 2nd here in the team's championship. Erhan Yovski's had an amazing drive. Unfortunately, Redline will be sat there being like, what are you doing, mate? How dare you fight us? We're trying to battle for the championship. But Erhan sat there being like, yeah, I'm trying to battle to get in too. I'm trying to win myself some extra money by battling for positions lower down. I mean, there's, what, 10k between the difference between 6th and 5th?
Yeah, there is, and RHG won that, although they're not really in any danger of that with Potter House in 9th and Graham Cowell, or 10th and Graham Cowell in 11th. But yes, Absolutely, side by side, further back. Oh dear, and that's Patrick Holtzman with Joni Tommler. Holtzman getting through into 10th place, by the way. So that's a good move from him, although that was very wide. This is quite a group, isn't it, from 5th place on backwards. It involves Tommler, Kazabol, Sigi, as well as Backham as well.
By the way, I think Porterhouse has had a bit of a problem,
yes.
Because as much as he's listed as being 9th, the second of 2 drivers in 9th place, I think he is actually in 12th place, so he will be dropping back. I think he might be a retirement from this race. Obviously, we'll have to wait for confirmation on that one, but it does seem as though we're heading on to the last lap here in the entire competition. It's been 4 thrilling days, but Joshua Rogers is in position to do it.
He certainly is. We've had now 30 races over the course of the 4 days. Josh Rogers has won a staggering percentage of them. He has been on top so many times. Started his week off by winning twice on Thursday. Came so close to the title on Friday. Won twice again yesterday. Was the only driver to do so. And now he's leading his team to $250,000. What a drive from Joshua Rogers. What a driver he is. One of the very best we've ever seen in this esport.
Yep, sadly for Max Benneker, it doesn't look like he's going to get a chance to get back in the rig. His team just sat in 5th and 10th position on the road. They've tried their hardest, they've tried their damnedest. So have G2 as well. Let's not forget Freddie Rasmussen on the rear end of Enzo Benito. We are watching what is effectively a victory lap from one of the finest drivers in sim racing. It is incredible to see, but also there's switches for those behind. Joni Tommler, I think, has had a couple of problems.
Yeah, it certainly has, and that may change things between Maus and G2. That will be quite close, and we'll calculate that in a few moments. But let's not forget about the other drivers here for Porsche Coanda Esports. It's not just about Josh Rogers. It's also about Dane Warren. It's also about Mitchell de Jong. And it's also about Matt Backham, who won't care that he's running in 11th place right now, because he's about to take a share of that as well. And of course, all of the team involved behind the scene, like Jorn Jens, who will be biting his fingernails off and doing everything else that makes you a bit nervous towards the end of one of these races. Every one of them has contributed to this, and they fully deserve it as well. 2.5 seconds just about for Josh Rogers to just stroke this one home.
Happy times at the moment for Porsche Coanda. It has been a long time coming. The pain of Joshua Rogers being denied on Friday the Drivers' Champion as he comes through this final section. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. What a drive. He had to do it himself. His team have helped him through the event. It is Porsche Coanda coming through the final corner, and they are the team's champion here at ESL R1, sponsored by Aramco here in Riyadh. It is them on top. Congratulations to Joshua Rogers, Mitchell de Jong, Dane Warren, and Mac Backham.
Absolutely fantastic. It's Coanda again, one of sim racing's very best teams, on top here in ESL R1. Josh Rogers, the one with the pleasure of taking that over the line. They got into finals mode second out of the teams today, but they were the first to take the race win, and they are the champions. They are $250,000 richer. What a drive from Josh Rogers. What a performance from the entire team. Absolutely wonderful.
Hats off, of course, to Team Redline, challenging them all the way through. An embrace between Joshua Rogers and Mac Backham, the Porsche Coanda team running over. You can see Mitchell de Jong, Dane Warren there, Jorn Jens, I'm sure will be close behind. Of course, a little bit of communication between them, between Erhan Yovski. I'm sure there's a lot of plaudits to be handed out both ways. Joshua Rogers, though, incredible driver. But like you say, you cannot deny the work the team has put into this event.
Absolutely. They're now
Ladies
walking over
and
towards the trophy.
Gamers8
Let's go
arena.
over to the
Make
stage
some
now.
noise for your 2023 ESL R1 at Gamers8 Team Champions, Porsche Coanda Esports Racing Team.
أعزائنا المشاهدين، أعزائنا الحضور، بطل ESL R1 العام 2023 المقدم لكم من أرامكو فريق بورشه كواندا.
during the race? When you were starting, like right after you.
Gentlemen, come over here. Come on, Josh. Come on, mate. I'll come up to you. Why not? Let's go up here. Or do you want me down here?
No. You can come up.
I mean, that age-old saying, congratulations. Try to put into words how you're feeling right in this moment.
Honestly, I feel like it's a sigh of relief. All the hard work we put in as a team, considering how Friday went, to be able to leave Sunday and go into Season 2 of ESL R1 with this, I feel like it's the best way we could have started it. And yeah, I'm just so grateful for all these guys here, everyone in the background. Jörn, unfortunately, Nina had to leave for a flight, but yeah, just thank you to everyone. And it's we couldn't do any of this without each other or any of them people. It's, I don't know. It's hard to say words, isn't it?
Remember, in Arabic, it's actually مبروك when we say congratulations. So مبروك to all of you. لكن الحين أعزائنا المشاهدين، فريق بورش كواندا حقق النصر في بطولة ESL R1 هنا معنا في هذه اللحظة. فعلا مستوى عظيم قدموه، واخذنا مقابلة مع المتسابق معنا جوش راجلز. نبغى نعرف كيف شعوره. قال أكيد شعور عظيم إنه قدر يختتم يوم الأحد في هذه اللحظة ويحقق النصر. يقول بأكثر من طريقة يعني كيف نقدر ننهي هذا اليوم بهذه اللحظة وبهذا الإنجاز العظيم. وكان حتى برضه يتمنى انه يجلس مده اطول قبل يروح رحلته عشان يقدر يستمتع اكثر في هذه الاجواء العظيمه.
Well, guys, you know, one final thing. You've said thank you, but I just want to give you this opportunity. You know, the floor is yours. Would you like to say anything to your fans, to your friends, family who have been supporting you throughout your entire journey up to this point in ESL R1?
Oh man, put me on the spot. Yeah, I mean, like, it's just such a huge team effort, and you know, to get to this point, sim racing is growing quite a bit, and you know, to be on the big stage, like you watch some of the other games growing up as well, it's such a cool feeling just to be here. The sacrifice that everyone makes to be here. We are fortunate enough to have a really great day where we can go home celebrating. You know, it could have gone another way as well, but if you look at the big picture, it's amazing to be in this situation. So thankful to everyone that got us here. Yeah, it's just a huge sigh of relief and such a really cool thing.
نبغى نعرف الرسالة اللي حاب يوصلها لكل الداعمين، لكل من وقف معهم ودعمهم إلى أن يوصلون لهذه المرحلة، وقال شكرا لكل من كان معنا. وأكيد أن هذه البطولة بطولة فريق، الكل كان داعم له إلى من حقق الإنجاز. من جد عمل فريق كان مذهل، الكل اشتغل كأنه لاعب حرفيا، كأنه متسابق واحد. فمن جد يستاهلون النصر. المبروك لكم مرة ثانية، مبروك to all of you.
Well, congratulations once again, or Mabruk, as he keeps saying. That's good. Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm getting better. But once again, everyone in the Gamers8 arena, one last time, make some noise for your champions, Porsche Coanda Esports Racing Team. And with that being said, thank you so much to everyone who took part in this entire endeavor, this entire show. It's been absolutely phenomenal to be a part of. Thank you so much to all of the drivers, the talent, the production for building this. It's been absolutely fantastic. But most of all, thank you to all of you, the fans, for watching and supporting all of your favorite drivers throughout the competition. You are bringing this esport to new heights, and we can't thank you enough for it. So for now, my name is Banks, and this is Atik. And this is Porsche Coanda Esports Racing Team. And we're going to send it back over to the desk to round out ESL R1 at Gamers8.
رحلة كانت عظيمة بكل لحظاتها وبكل الثواني اللي كانت فيها واللي عشناها. من جد استمتعنا فيها، إنجازات كبيرة شفناها، وحتى برضو التاريخ صنعناه هنا معنا في هذا الحدث في جيمرز 8 في هذه بطولة ESL R1 المقدمة لكم من أرامكو. أبطال هذه الرحلة زي ما تعرفنا عليهم هم بورش كواندا. لكن شكرا لكم جميعا على دعمكم، على تواجدكم وعلى حضوركم هنا معنا. إن شاء الله أنكم برضو استمتعتوا في هذه الرحلة. لكن الحين أعزائنا المشاهدين خلونا ننتقل على الاستديو نشوف تفاصيل هذه الرحله. كان معكم مقدمكم باللغه العربيه عتيق، ومعنا مقدمنا برضو باللغه الانجليزيه بانكس، وابطالنا اكيد من فريق بورش كواندا. الحين خلونا ننتقل على